This is a lot of water for April, mid-April in Southern California. We had a lot of rain. That means lots of mosquitoes in the summer. So we are 2 weeks out from Easter, just about, and a couple weeks away from Pentecost. And I think this is a really special time of the church calendar that gets overlooked. If you think about it, Jesus' disciples or followers were still sorting out the trauma, disillusionment, confusion, fear, etc. of witnessing Good Friday. And so much so that they were kind of in survival mode. Some of them had a really hard time believing reports that Jesus had risen. And, I think a lot of the ways I grew up in church, people said, oh, they had doubts or whatever, doubting Thomas. But hey, after trauma, I think it's natural to be like extra vigilant and have heightened suspicion. Who wouldn't have trust issues, right? So I think this time between Easter and Pentecost was super important because gradually they all came to see and believe that Jesus had come alive, but it needed to be in time and in phases and stages. And eventually they did kind of get prepped by Jesus. Jesus had time to distill some more teachings before the ascension, which was right before Pentecost. And that's essentially when the Spirit came, and the disciples and the followers, because disciples are 12 and there were more than 12 followers, they were equipped to leave the church and perpetuate it. So instead of being killed on Good Friday, the Jesus movement actually lived on, which those clouds kind of speak to that kind of in a cool way. So post-traumatic growth is real, and I don't think anyone should ever be judged for going back to fight, flight, freeze, flock mode. And Jesus's followers certainly flocked together. Some of them were in a room together when Jesus appeared. Some of them got together and went fishing, which is also a cool commentary on going back to the routines that we know can be really important after trauma. Going back to earning a living when we feel really shaken and insecure, that can be really important. And noticing that Jesus actually appears to them while they're out fishing, while they're on the road to Emmaus, while they're gathered in a room. So, just trying to survive and then letting the divine meet us where we are is sometimes just about what it should be or what it turns out to be. Then when Jesus ascends, that's sort of a big moment, but we can't forget all those days and weeks that passed in between when it was more random, right? There didn't seem to be an order or a flow to what this post-resurrection life was supposed to be about. And sometimes that is how our lives feel. We're going about our days trying to have some sense of regularity and safety, and then sometimes God appears and sometimes God doesn't, or sometimes God appears to our friends who then tell us about it. In the case of Thomas, who wasn't there that first time, and he's like, you know what, you do you, but let me believe it when I see it, right, and when I touch it. And I think that's actually fine. So just a little bit of thought on this really, really cool season after Easter, And then Pentecost, that is another story for another day.